And when a body was tossed from from the top of the temple, it would, it was meant to sort of fall and bounce, and it was meant to be graphic. It was meant to look that way. It was part of why people were there watching. It's sort of like a rubbernecking kind of a thing. It's hard not to look at something like that. When that body hit the ground, there was very strict rules, and there would be a sort of a clan of people inside the school. Because if you think about it, this was all really inside a university. This university was basically where people come to be God, where most of these temples were seen as that, right? Where the university just back then was just where someone would become a god. And so this clan inside this university, a very special clan, was allowed to collect the bodies. They were the ones that would do that. And they would come and take the body. And there's a whole thing they would do with the body, but they had a very special haircut. It was a very honorable haircut, sort of like a reverse monk. The monk haircut where you remove the top of your head, as if someone would do that to themselves naturally. It's hilarious to me. But anyway, this is the reverse of that, and the hair would be so long. It was very special. That length of hair was reserved for them. So these were the longest of the long, but they were long in that very particular certain way, and very particular.
What do I need to put away? I'll be right there. Oh. Okay. Yeah.
See how I scrubbed that Warcraft side here?
That's awesome. I guess I didn't notice, but I'll check it out. Well, I probably could. I think I will.
I'm out of range.
Oh. Oh, yeah. I don't know. What?
A certain way, and it was thought that the length of its hair allowed them to touch the dead bodies. It's more of a Mictlan kind of a thing, right? Because you're connected to the underworld more because you have these umbilicals. You have these strands of umbilicals collecting. So they would take that body, and then they would separate it. Just as the rabbit foot is made, the human's rabbit foot would be made, you know. And there's different parts that are luckier. Different parts that have to be done. Certain things have to be done. Certain things have to be eaten in order for it to work. Things like that, you know. So
I think that's related to the head shrinking or head hunter, you know what I'm talking about, right? The head shrinking culture.
yeah, the head shrinking culture is I mean, it's definitely like a separate thing, but it's interesting because that Cohoba ritual, you know, that ritual where you would snort stuff, and that snorting would make you like super freaking high. I think that was those dudes doing that. I think they were the ones that were doing the shrunken head stuff. And I say that because I think there's been a few of those Cohoba pipes, the dual snorting, like the dollar bill, you know, cocaine line of back then, you know, was $2 bills, and it was like, dude, we're going both noses, you know, this is full on. So yeah, all the shame around this is kind of echoing in, you know, the things we're talking about with rabbit's feet, but it's what I was going to say earlier before I sidelined us with the whole it's not safe to go there is although there's a faction here that's complaining we need to feel guilty, we need to shame ourselves for this history, and that's a pretty big faction. There's also one of the nice things about people is there's always this conglomerate of people that just don't really give a shit, like they don't really and those are the ones that tend to be the preservers of the mythology more because they're not so caught up trying to preserve it or trying to suppress it, because honestly those two factions are the ones that tend to mess with the truth the most, if you think about it, right?
So true.
So as long as you have a culture that has that middle ground of just apathy, which is great, sort of like a built-in kind of buffering system, you're going to have a mythology that's safe. And you know, in kind of way, that's kind of what happened here. It's interesting that this skull wall not only was preserved, they were working on top of it. Some sort of like religious structure was on top of this part of this skull wall, so it's like symbolically like creepy as fuck. And that's because of the laziness of it. There was, if you think about it, Cortez, if anything, he protected it all. He protected it because he purposely built a church right on top of it to try and cover it up. And what he really did is he immortalized it. He said, hey, if you need to find it, it's right here. Like, if anything, that he saved it by trying to cover it up. So it's really hard to know who's the good guy sometimes when you're watching these factions, you know, compete. I think about George Bush and all the Sumerian fucking treasures that fucker probably has now that they were able to get when they were in Iraq. Like, just saying, if I was fucking one of those dudes, I'd be like, yeah, let's get some fucking cool ass, you know, Lamb Suit stuff. Like, I want the sacred magic wand shard of, you know, that kind of stuff. And you gotta, I mean, certainly we would probably all agree that there's a lot of that stuff's here, but culture doesn't know it's there, right? Like, that would be part of what makes it so valuable, right? Is that only a few people even know it's there, you know, that this piece really exists or whatever.
I think the interesting thing to me is when you brought that up is the fact that they were upset that how, you know, they wanted their shame and how dare you take my shame from me.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, it sounds like the culture was, or, you know, the other factions were trying to say, no, it's okay, you're all good. And they realized the power of the shame that they needed
Exactly.
for their own growth. So I can relate to that in a very particular way. I had an incident when my son was very young. We were on the swing, and I brought him off the swing. He had a small fracture on his leg, and my whole family, my wife at the time, everybody's trying to make me feel better about it in all this kind of way. And I remember in that time, that same sort of way of like, I appreciate what you are trying to do, but don't. I know what I did, and like that was important to me to hold that shame. So I feel that.
Well, this is the alchemy, right? When stuff like this happens, and I'll tell you, I'm on there's a red road. We've talked about it before. I'm a white guy on a red road. That's what I experienced on my red road, and my red road is a bunch of red people telling me you're a white guy, you can't be on the road, and telling me, and you can't complain. You don't even get to tell people that that's your experience, right? And when I scroll through Facebook, I see the exact same thing. You guys don't know how awful Columbus was. We know he was worse than you think that he was worse, and we need to be the ones that tell you how bad he was. And it's a competition, right? You're holding the whip of shame, and that's what these people are doing when they're confronting the president, saying, "Hey, what's underneath Guadalajara Street? It's some kind of street like that, and this is the stuff that is sort of been hidden." Which, of course, is not hidden because they're talking about it. and there's all the hidden stuff is always funny because everyone knows what the hidden stuff is. And we talk about how it's hidden, and you're like, well, what's hidden? Oh, you know, about how Trump did this, blah, blah, blah. That's hidden. I'm like, well, oh, we're pretending that's hidden. I got it. Okay.
Well, like the fact that extraterrestrial life has supposedly been hidden, right? It's been, for how long has that been part of the conversation since Roswell, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but the fact that, oh, guys, there's aliens here, but no, there's not aliens here. There's aliens, and it's just this whole game. And I thought it was interesting. I saw something the other day talking about, because they're always, just like with Iran being on the verge of a nuclear weapon for 30 years, this idea of disclosure from official channels is just always dangled out there. So apparently they're drumming that one up again. That Trump has affirmed the 4 types of extraterrestrials here.
Really?
Wow.
Where, huh?
Yeah, he released
It's the same thing on repeat. I've just heard it before. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just,
there was 2 tranches that were that they call them tranches. Isn't that weird? So the first UFO tranche came out maybe 2 weeks ago. They just released one on Friday, and it's all these fuzzy tic tacs and all this stuff. I'm at the ranch. 40 years of UFO contact. You should see the photos that that are available, the footage that's available, and nobody wants to come there. They've come there. I mean, all Skunk Works, everyone's been to this ranch, but they don't ever show any of that in these tranches. And I'm like, it is some kind of interesting thing in Turtle Island because not only that, it's worldwide. You know how many people in Japan are contactees? It's crazy. The Japanese are like the most like UFO hungry and have a lot of info in it. So you would never know that in the real world because the government's not going to release anything that's real. They're releasing what
I did not
they,
know that.
you know.
Also, I'm going to be honest, we could go back to our conversation about how schizophrenics are treated. If I were an alien, I would not be talking to the government.
No.
They'd be the last people I'd go see.
Oh, yeah.
I want to get
that's so
dissected alive. No, thank you.
Did you know that it's a law to you cannot harm a Yeti or a Sasquatch, Bigfoot? It's a law in Oregon and Washington because they're real. And I witnessed it 3 days ago. It came to visit me. It scared the freaking shit out of me. And I'm like, I'm there in the place where the veil's thin. It's actually called, on Turtle Island, a purple zone. Have you ever heard of a purple zone?
No.
It's where the magnetics of the planet is super thin. So there's a veil of interdimensional inner Earth things, outer Earth things. I don't know. It's more magical than you could possibly imagine. And I don't know if the consciousness is ready for it. You know, that's what I always think. I'm like, are people ready to have 10-foot creatures with gates that you can take a timer or maybe time 3 seconds between the gate of the foot?
The consciousness is definitely being quickened. We can say that much.
Yeah, I would say that for sure.
Because I agree with that. When James brought it up weeks ago, the idea that, and I thought this too, it's like the idea of extraterrestrial intelligence, right? It's like, why would it go through the governments? Why would it go there? And I think, James, you mentioned, wouldn't it go to the children first? Because the children are the most tapped into those things because
Yeah, that's what I do.
they haven't been.
Yeah. You know, and now that's the best way to do it. And fuck, they're all in schools with like gun-free zones. Like, it'd be fucking easy. And they're all watching the same programs. You know, the highest stream shows, it's not Mr. Beast, it's all like kid stuff, like nursery rhymes and stuff like that. So it's like there's one or two YouTube authors that are like have exposure to all the kids, like every single thing that they see most of the time, all day. You know, put some doctrinal beats, you know, in there. What do you call those something ternal beats in there? Binarial, thank you. Yeah, start to throw some binarial things in there, you know, and you know, just drop it like it's hot. That would be the only communication, and all you really do, I think, is just up the synchronicity. You see, if you're pumping out the archetype of the day, if you wanted to up the synchronicity in Mexico, it'd be so easy. All you'd have to do is just track the 20-day calendar and just every day insert something in the media or in culture that's glorifying that archetype just on that day. And imagine if this is you with the CIA and you're doing shit like this, and you're like, you know, I really want us to have a colorful season. So it's Alligator Day. We're gonna drop some alligator psyche stuff today. We're get ready for 2 reads. That's a biggie. And just all you'd be doing, and this is what you do at home. This is what you do anyway. People know to do this. So on St. Patrick's Day, people wear green. During certain holidays, people wear certain colors. We know there's a nuanced sort of kind of half-assed way where we're tapping into this technology, but there'll come a day where we need those calories so bad because we have so much self-worth that we would want to practice this every day, where we would want to have a colloquial. I think colloquial would be the only way. You'd want a bioregional kind of style with its own color of the day, its own focus of the day. If you did that, this would be a way of enriching the soil. You know, you'd be enriching the soil of that culture by upping the localism of it all.
We'll be
So
back
anything that I think
in a
about,
little
let's say,
while.
like alien oriented,